Not only can you take a load, you can take the ultimate load.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Piss-drunk fraternity guy, you got my asshole bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. I'm so cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. I just can't understand it. Fucker defined by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. Guess everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. Whitebeater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. Screws in the pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cash ready to gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tombo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public dominant. Put a body, but it's not and lies. So when there's a minute overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. Don't let the fucking pill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do the show live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. You can support this project at eplex.store with memberships or buy some merch. Also, if you are a Patreon user and don't want to sign up for something new, patreon.com/Echoplex. Other ways to support the project are at echoplexmedia.com/support. And of course, you can always just share the show with your friends or whatever. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rocks. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate your local police. Cause they don't do nothing wrong like your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the village judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Cause they don't do nothing wrong, don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job, don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops, don't hate the cops.
Did anything interesting happen this week? I'm just not sure. Oh, yeah, something interesting did happen this week, but not the thing that you think. Well, at least not to start out with. This happened.
At the end of the day, we're gonna beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. And these people hate our children. Just take more calls. Go ahead, do the next person.
So this is in response to, I guess, what's happening is Alex Jones has a judgment against him. And at some point, the government's going to start seizing his assets such that he can start to pay off that judgment against him. He'll never be able to pay the whole thing off, but they're going to seize his assets. And he's not too happy about it. Here's him from a Twitter space yesterday. Shout out to No Turtle Soup for sitting through this fucking awful Twitter space with the worst ghouls on the planet.
Release all the shit on these fucking people that fucking think I'm gonna bow down to them and suck their fucking dick. It ain't fucking happening. They want a fucking war. They better believe they got one. And I'm sorry for all the cussing. So
I'm sorry for all the cussing. This is a children's show after all. Oh, there's going to be more coming from him over the course of the next couple weeks, because I don't think they've seized any of his stuff yet. I think he just knows that they're coming. Something else happened this week. Here's the lawyer for the former president. This is prior to the verdict. We are just, what story is everybody going to believe? Who knows? Who knows?
That is what we're challenged with. We're dealing with people that are either going to believe a story. It was like sitting in make-believe land with the prosecution today, or you're going to listen to the facts. And the facts took us an hour and a half to break down. There were none. And you've got a person that is
there were none
that you're relying on. It was pretty simple for us. It took them a very long time to try and bob, weave, and make up stories. You.
Oh, here's more of the former guy's lawyer. This clip is she's speaking outside of the trial. We'll see if this comes up. Oh, it's going to come up. Fantastic. Websites are working well today.
And saying, whoa, this is not America. This is very un-American, and we can't survive another 4 years of this. So if you want to look at it that way, sure, but I don't think countries need to hit rock bottom. I don't understand why we couldn't have continued on an upward trajectory of American morals, of the Constitution. I'm not sure why we had to hit this low point, to be honest, but if that's what gets President Trump back in office.
But you know, when you talk about things like morals, people will say, this is a case about a former president, somebody who was running for president, paying off a porn star who alleges that she had a relationship with him. I mean, that sparks a whole other conversation about morality, who's running the country.
Even the Fox News person is like, well, wait a minute.
Obviously, voters in 2016, it was not a problem, or they factored in what they knew about the Access Hollywood tape and other things, and they were comfortable sending President Trump to the White House. Yeah. They've had 4 years to think about the way he performed, now 4 years of President Biden. But some of them will always now have this vision with President Trump that these kinds of dramas and things will be just part of his package, part of what comes with him as president.
It's called extortion. Extortion is
Wait, that's not extortion. Wait, what?
When they are powerful, when they are strong-voiced, and when people listen to them. It is.
That's called extortion. When people think about the character of people, that's a legal term you might not understand. It's a extortion. Oh man, did you know Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. Mother Teresa, not a great person, by the way. Just so we're on the record there. Mother Teresa, not great. Here's the former guy. I think this is a day before. I think this is while the jury was deliberating, if I'm not mistaken.
I would say, in listening to the charges from the judge, who's, as you know, very conflicted and corrupt, because of the confliction, very, very corrupt. Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged. The whole thing is rigged. The whole country's a mess between the borders and fake elections, and you have a trial like this where the judge is so conflicted he can't breathe. He's got to do his job. And it's not for me, that I can tell you. It's a disgrace. And I mean that. Mother Teresa could not beat those charges, but we'll see. We'll see.
Did she ever run for office? Mother Teresa ever run for office? I don't know. Mother Teresa's dead. You can't beat charges when you're dead. I don't understand this. So here's the scene outside the courthouse. Give me a second here. Sorry about that. Somebody unveiled a really great piece of artwork. Check this out.
Go, Citizen Scott. Oh, hey, ho, ho. Robert De Niro has got to go. Hey, ho, ho. Robert De Niro has got to go. Hey.
What the fuck? When I first saw that, I was like, oh, it's going to be a, it was like when we zoom in, it's going to be of the judge or like the prosecutor or maybe Joe or Hunter Biden. Nope. Robert De Niro. So, as you well know, we got a verdict, and this I feel is going to be the banger of the summer.
That motherfucker's guilty. 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 That motherfuckers.
Don't worry, we have another song too. We have another banger. This is of a different musical style, but still no less a banger. Here you go, folks.
You got a felony. You got a felony. Man, your road looks tough ahead, gonna be miles and miles away from your bed. The judge's words repeating in your head, boy, you got a felony. Yeah, you got a felony.
Yeah, that guy's got a fucking pretty good fucking voice. Both of them. I mean, her voice was stunning, but that guy's a good singer too. Look at all the talent on display here. Now here is DA Bragg on the jury decision. A little more serious than the last two, obviously.
Good evening. First and foremost, I want to thank the jury for its service. Jurors perform a fundamental civic duty. Their service is literally the cornerstone of our judicial system. We should all be thankful for the careful attention that this jury paid to the evidence and the law and their time and commitment over these past several weeks. 12 everyday New Yorkers, and of course, our alternates, heard testimony from 22 witnesses, including former and current employees of the defendant, media executives, book publishers, custodians of records, and others. They reviewed call logs, text messages, and emails. They heard recordings. They saw checks and invoices, bank statements, and calendar appointments. This type of white-collar prosecution is core to what we do at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. In the 1930s, District Attorney Thomas Dewey ushered in the era of the modern, independent professional prosecutor. For now nearly 90 years, dedicated professionals in this office have built upon that fine tradition. A major part of our practice during that nearly 90 years has been public integrity work, including cases involving jurists, local and state electeds, public servants, and others. I want to thank this phenomenal prosecution team, embodying the finest traditions of this office: professionalism, integrity, dedication, and service. They are model public servants, and I am proud and humbled to serve side by side with them. The 12 everyday jurors vowed to make a decision based on the evidence and the law, and the evidence and the law alone. Their deliberations led them to a unanimous conclusion, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the defendant, Donald J. Trump, is guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree to conceal a scheme to corrupt the 2016 election. Now, while this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law, and doing so without fear or favor. I want to conclude by expressing deep gratitude to the NYPD and the officers of the Office of Court Administration for securing the courthouse, all of our safety, making sure the courthouse and all of the other matters that are important in their own right continued seamlessly. They will continue to be and have always been incredible partners. Thank you.
And do you plan to request a prison sentence for this conviction? And do you think that Donald Trump's multiple violations of the gag order that was in place should factor into that request at all?
The judge scheduled a sentencing for July 11th. We will speak in court in that time. He also set a motion schedule. We will speak in our court filings as we've done throughout this proceeding.
They're not going to ask. They're not going to ask for time. They're not going to. 34 felonies. I don't know if it was you or me, they'd probably be asking for time, but It's not you or me, is it? So they're not going to be asking for time. So now we're on to the fun part, right? Now the fun part. I hear prophetess Julie Green, who used to be Trump's prophet preacher, or whatever, had previously, the day before the verdict, had said that God told her that Trump would be found not guilty. So she wasn't wrong. It's just complicated.
He says there will be no guilty verdict because there's no crime. He will not do any time behind their bars and their prisons. No, they will not get what they wanted. No, not at all. We can say, well, that was not true because there was a guilty verdict. Look, he says there will be no guilty verdict because when somebody is exonerated, it's like it never existed in the first place. You can have a fake inauguration. Doesn't mean the person in that place is a real president. You can have a fake king to be coronated. Doesn't mean he's actually king. You can have a fake verdict. It doesn't mean that person is actually guilty at all.
Lady, just take the L. Just take the L. Just be like, fuck, man. God be lying to me and shit. Up next, box wine Janine Pirro. Not happy. Not happy at all.
However it is resolved. But what that leaves is this White House, the Biden-Harris campaign, free now to call President Trump a convicted felon. I got to say, though, over a year ago when President Trump was asked, will you drop out of this race if convicted or not convicted, if indicted, he said, no, because I actually think it will help me in my poll numbers. They've done well in fundraising. He's done well in polling. Does this help or hurt now in the public opinion where he's got to get independent voters, where he's got to get people who are not necessarily part of his base, now that he's got this conviction, which may or may not one day be overturned?
You know, Shannon, I don't have the answer to that question. I want to believe that Americans believe in justice. And I think that in their gut, they realize that there is something that is very wrong here. We have gone over a cliff in America. This verdict is a verdict of someone who was forced to fight a 1,000-pound gorilla with both hands tied behind his back. This was a defendant for whom crimes were created, against whom a judge was picked that out of the ordinary, not from the drum, but a judge who was handpicked for this defendant, who denied him the ability to fight the way he needed to fight, who brought in crimes that we've never heard of in New York before, where they had dead misdemeanors that they resurrected into felonies based upon non-unanimous verdicts of crimes that are federal, over which no state court or no state judge or prosecutor has jurisdiction. And in the end, with all the smoke and mirrors and 34 counts and a hooker and a guy, according to a federal judge, is a serial perjurer, we have convicted a former president of the United States of America. We've gone over a cliff. The question as to whether or not America will react to this, whether his numbers will go up or down, I don't know. But I do know what I know. And what I know,
what is it that you know?
This case is riddled with errors. It is reversible. It will not get through to the appellate division in the First Department in New York, or certainly the Court of Appeals before the next year. And people say, should it go to the Supreme Court? No, it can't go to the Supreme Court unless they exhaust all of the state court appeals. I've spent 32 years in this system, and I am totally disillusioned. You had a
you haven't.
You had a DA.
No. The last, unless she means like before she spent 32 years like as a judge or a lawyer, but she's been on Fox for quite some time.
Literally campaigned on making sure that this president would be indicted. We've got an attorney general who did the same thing. This is a new era in America, and I think it goes against the ilk of who we are as Americans and our faith in the criminal justice system.
Sure, whatever, lady. You just didn't get the result you wanted. You would think that as an attorney, she sometimes didn't get the results she wanted. When she was a judge, sometimes things didn't even go the way that she thought they might have gone, like at jury trial. Like, she should be used to that. That's part of the legal system. Up next, we got Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is gonna call on the Democrats to call out the corruption of this this particular trial, I guess.
Well, listen, Sean, I think you're exactly right. What we saw today was an absolute travesty of justice. This was not law. This was not criminal justice. This was politics. This was a political smear job. This was an attack job. This is what you see in banana republics. And it is, I am both furious and heartbroken at the same time. I'm furious at what we saw, but I'm also heartbroken for the rule of law. I'm heartbroken for our justice system. You know, last night I was on with you and I suggested maybe there was hope for the jury. Maybe one juror would hold out. And I got to say, you shook your head and said, no, New York is too far gone. I'm sorry to say, Sean, you were right. There was not 1 out of 12 who stood up and said, this is garbage. This is election interference. These are lies.
That wasn't what they were asked to decide, Ted.
Kangaroo court. We didn't have a single juror that said that. Now, you look at the rulings from this judge, this partisan judge, they were so biased. I'm going to tell you right now, the chances that this decision is overturned on appeal, I believe, are 100.0. This will be overturned. And by the way, the judge knows it will be overturned. And that's the whole point. He doesn't care. The objective today was to get the 2 words that we saw the Biden White House say in their press release today. Convicted felon. Between now and November, the Democrats and the corporate media will use the words convicted felon about 1 billion times. This is all about politics and influencing the election, and it is a disgrace.
Doesn't it really come down to, Senator, as I said, that the real verdict can be rendered now by the American people, and that verdict will be rendered on November 5th and in the day's early voting and voting by
right,
mail?
but like he's not going to win the popular vote. You mean it'll be decided by our arcane and stupid electoral college system
ahead of time, which I strongly encourage as much as I don't like it. But I think that verdict will be really this coming election. Do you agree?
I do. And listen, I hope and pray that people who care about the rule of law, who care about the Constitution, who care about justice, are outraged. Maybe you love Donald Trump. Maybe you can't stand Donald Trump. But if you care about our system of justice, if you care about democracy, look, saying democracy feels strange now because every Democrat runs around like a peacock squawking about democracy. But this is an assault on democracy. And you know, I really hope, I got to say, in the Senate, we have 51 senators. Not one has the courage to stand up and say this is wrong. I would respect a Democrat senator who says, listen, I disagree with Trump. I'm not supporting him, but this shouldn't be what we're doing. We should not be.
Right, but the Senate doesn't actually get to decide what the state of New York does. They have a Senate.
Justice system to go after our enemies, and not a single one of them is willing to say that. They will all say felon, felon, felon. And they're complicit in the corruption of our system. And my hope is that it opens some people's eyes, that it opens people's eyes. Wow, this is rigged and corrupted in a way that is dangerous.
Senator Cruz, thank you again.
So just like the smallest bit of accountability is like a sign of a banana republic. It's so fucking stupid. It doesn't matter actually what the people in the U.S. Senate say. Like, it does not matter at all. Like, just literally doesn't matter because they have no jurisdiction over anything that like the state court does. These people are supposed to, like, remember states' rights? They were like, remember when they were into states' rights? Well, not so much anymore, I suppose. Could you imagine if any Democratic politician was convicted of a misdemeanor, like during an election cycle? These people would lose their fucking minds. They would absolutely lose their fucking minds. But it's all politics, and I mean that's fine. Like we have to understand that like hopefully the trial wasn't political. I mean, the trial could not be political though, because like you can call it political because it was the trial of the former president. But I don't know. I think like people are generally good, and I think the jury more likely than not, they all tried to do their job. Anyway, up next, we got Marjorie the Gathering. The globalists are trying to replace Donald Trump with Nikki Haley on the Republican ticket.
Want a full-on globalist agenda, and the American people are against the globalist agenda. This is why they're going to do everything they can to either replace Trump at the convention or force Nikki Haley to be his VP pick. And I'm glad you're calling it out. Something else people need to be prepared for, Steve, is they're going to put President Trump in prison. They're going to do it. They've already come so far. They didn't convict him of 34 felony charges to stop and go, okay, now we're just going to have this fair campaign. They're going to put him in prison. They absolutely are going to do that.
I do not think that's going to happen.
So they just want to make it where people won't go near him. And they know they're fighting for the independent vote where they can't steal elections. They're going to try to steal the election. They're still going to try to do that. They have no intention of losing. And that's the most important thing people need to realize. That they
she's crazy. First of all, I don't like if he ended up being replaced at the last minute after the primary, I don't think it would be Nikki Haley. But I also don't think that this is like a thing that's going to happen. Like I have no reason to believe that he's going to not be the nominee. Even if he ends up in a cell, he'll probably do like, okay, first of all, if they sentence him, I would be willing to bet they'll do a suspended sentence or a sentence where he can turn himself in after the first of the year or some shit. Like if they do it at all, or fucking house arrest or some shit where they'll just give him permission to go to all his campaign events. Who fucking knows? Anyway, up next you got Mark Levin, also none too pleased about all this.
Kooks do it. We need to look at Bush versus Gore. Why did the Supreme Court take that case from the Florida Supreme Court? We need to look at things like common law writs, which I know the audience don't understand, but a lot of lawyers do. Not writs of certiorari based on statute, but common law writs based on judicial decisions. We need to give the Supreme Court the opportunity to fix this. Why? We cannot have local acting judges, Soros DAs, 15,000 district attorney's office, God knows how many state judges, destroying our federal election system, influencing how we elect the president of the United States. And if we have a pathway to bring it to the Supreme Court, even though it's rarely used, and by
generally no,
we use it. We use every legal quiver that we possibly can muster.
So the appeals process, even fucking Judge Janine was like, well, you can't really go to the Supreme Court. The appeals process would have to go through all the state stuff first. And then I don't know, like that would take so fucking long that the election would already be over. Like that's just what's not going to happen. There's no precedent for the Supreme Court stepping in and overturning the verdict. And I don't think they can. I don't think that the state of New York would abide by such a thing. Up next, we got Wolf Blitzer talking to J.D. Vance. And, well, this was an easy one. This was an easy dunk.
Against them.
Wolf, I am absolutely supporting Trump because I think he will make the American people's lives better. But again, this is so much bigger to me than Donald Trump. I woke up heartbroken for our country because the precedent set is that if you don't like somebody's politics, you should use the American system of law and order to try and destroy them. That's 250 years of legal tradition. The Biden folks are tearing it up to win an election, Wolf. That is what really bothers me.
Whatever happened to the Republican Party being the party of law and order?
We are the party of law and order, but you can't have law and order if you have
president
judges.
Has been convicted 34 times.
Law and order,
violating law.
Law and order is not having a judge who donates to the political opposition to Donald Trump and then tries to throw Donald Trump in jail. That's the opposite of law and order.
$15 donation.
A $15 donation combined with, he said that he wanted to fight Donald Trump. His daughter has made almost $100 million.
So that was pretty good because he's like, oh, he donated. And then the dude was like $15. And he was like, aha, I have other things.
fundraising for Democrats, Wolf. Every single thing about this points to the fact that this was a political sham prosecution. Now, it's not just the judge's financial interests, his commitment to Democrats, multiple reversible errors. Why didn't they change the venue? Why didn't the judge give accurate jury instructions? Why didn't they charge him with something more than a paperwork violation? The entire argument of this case is that Donald Trump should go to prison because an employee of his filled out paperwork the wrong way. Wolf, this is disgraceful.
Do you believe that his employees, with his knowledge?
So it's so funny. It's so funny because like $15, like I'm going to get more than $15 maybe from one of you tonight, right? Now you're on the fucking take, or I'm on the take, or I don't know, somebody's on the fucking take. So I'm going to get more than $15 from one of you tonight, maybe. And fucking, it's all corrupt. It's all fucking corrupt. So up next, if you could imagine this, there were people in the media trying to pivot to one Mr. Hunter Biden. I was shocked to see this. I didn't think they would do this, but they've tried to pivot to Hunter Biden.
I mean, we think about that in also the context of the fact that if they're, as we've talked about, going to now start referring to former President Trump as convicted felon Donald Trump, and whether they're going to use that language, that we also know Hunter Biden is facing 2 federal trials, which we can talk about as well, one of them starting on Monday, and the fact that I don't think the Trump campaign is going to pull any punches if Hunter Biden winds up convicted of something. It does look to many.
Right, but Hunter Biden's probably just going to fucking plead out. If he did the things, he's just going to fucking plead out, like, because they're federal charges. What is, anybody know the federal conviction rate? It's quite high. So I'm pretty sure that Hunter Biden just going to fucking plead out, as well he should. If it looks like if it looks like they got the goods, he should plead out. Then what are they going to do? They're like, all right, you know, plead out. And it's like, well, yeah, he took responsibility for the things that he has done. Up next, here's Representative Ronnie Jackson on Newsmax. We're going to call this the revenge part of the docket here.
Changed. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And, you know, President Trump could have sicked his Justice Department on Hillary Clinton after he became president again for all of the illegal stuff.
So this is stupid because it's not. This is the state of New York. This was the state of New York, not the federal government. In fact, it looks like the federal case is probably going to not. It's not going to happen. The documents case is probably nothing's going to happen there.
That she had done, but he didn't. He moved on. He focused on what was good for our country, and he did the right thing for our country. You know, I'm just telling you right now, President Biden should just be ready, because on January 20th of next year, when he's former President Joe Biden, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I am going to encourage all of my colleagues and everybody that I have any influence over as a member of Congress to aggressively go after the president and his entire family.
Wait, doesn't that violate the separation of powers, like where the judicial is supposed to be separate from the congressional and the executive?
His entire crime family for all of the misdeeds that are out there right now related to this family. I'm just disgusted. I'm quite frankly just pissed off about what happened yesterday. I'm not the only one. And you can look at the record number of fundraising that took place yesterday, small dollar donors. Those people, a lot of them have never voted before. They're all going to be voting this time, I promise you. And we are going to take this country back. Donald Trump is going to be president again, and we are going to get our country back. If we don't, we are done.
Soviet Union. Oh, these people are so fucking mad. The dude's going to get like a slap on the wrist, if anything. He's going to be able to run his campaign as normal. And there's I think maybe a little less than 50-50 chance that he's going to win, but there's a good chance that that he can win. So like, what the fuck? So here's the man himself saying that people who don't support him are evil, and that he's going to get revenge just on the people that don't support him. Now it's not just like the Biden administration, it's just you and me or anybody else now. Just revenge time, friends, revenge.
A lot of Democrats have expressed concern that if you're elected, you're going to want revenge. And some of your supporters have said, well, mutually, we're just talking about the weaponization of the justice system against political opponents. Some of your supporters have said, well, the only way to stop this is mutually assured destruction, right? If you do it to us, we're going to do it to you. You've said, no, my revenge is going to be success for America. You've just had this verdict. Do you still feel the same? What's your thoughts on that?
It's a really tough question in one way, because these are bad people. These people are sick, and they do things that are so destructive. I mean, look what they did from the day I got there. And I don't know, a lot of people said, we have no choice but to elect Trump. Republicans, because he's the only one that can withstand this. Don't forget, if it weren't me, they'd be going after somebody else. And I know a lot of the competition, they wouldn't do so well. They wouldn't be doing so well right now. They'd be saying, Mommy, take me home. I want to go home. This is brutal. But these are sick people. And for instance, the 51 intelligence agents, who thinks of these? Look, it's a very interesting question. And I say it and it sounds beautiful, right? My revenge will be success. And I mean that. But it's awfully hard when you see what they've done. These people are so evil.
You famously said regarding Hillary Clinton, lock her up. You declined to do that as president.
I beat her. It's easier when you win.
Well, there you go.
They all said lock her up. And I felt, and I could have done it, but I felt it would have been a terrible thing. And then this happened to me. And so I may feel differently about it.
No. I think he probably wanted to do it. And I think that the Justice Department refused. I think that we don't know for sure, but I think that he probably wanted to. And I think that he can't force them. You cannot, as the president, force the Justice Department to do things. In fact, you're not even supposed to make any strong suggestions to them as to what they're supposed to do. And I think that there's what they call the deep state, right? We'll just call the bureaucracy of the Justice Department got in his way, and he wasn't able to go after his political enemies. All right, so revenge again. This is Laura Trump on CNN talking about taking revenge against somebody who's running for Senate who is just not toeing the line, essentially.
Republican Senate candidate Larry Hogan in Maryland, and again, I'm asking this in your capacity as one of the co-chairs of the entire Republican Party, and he's a popular former governor in Maryland. He wrote this right ahead of the verdict. He said, quote, regardless of the result, I urge all Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process. That is not the Republican Party line at the moment, and in fact, he was attacked by the top Trump advisor, Chris LaCivita, who wrote that he, quote, just ended your campaign, end quote. Does the Republican National Committee support Larry Hogan for Senate?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't support what he just said there. I think it's ridiculous. And I think anybody who's not speaking up in the face of really something that should never again have seen the light of day, a trial that would never have been brought against any other person aside from Donald Trump.
But does the RNC support his bid?
The respect of anyone. Well,
he doesn't deserve the respect of anyone?
He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party at this point. And quite frankly, anybody in America, if that's the way you feel, that's very upsetting to hear that.
So are you willing to cede the Senate seat in Maryland to the Democratic Party and not support Larry Hogan?
What I'll tell you is that we, of course, want to win as a party, but that is a shame. And I think he should have thought long and hard before he said that publicly.
Are you willing to...
Wait, but what he said was very mild and kind of boilerplate, right?
Use Republican Party resources to support his bid or not? It sounds like you're saying you're not.
Well, I'll get back to you on all the specifics monetarily, but what I can tell you is that as the Republican Party co-chair, I think he should never have said something like that. I think that's ridiculous.
Okay.
Right, but now that he did, and I think they're going to end up actually supporting him. He's somebody in chat said that he's pretty popular in Maryland and he could actually win that seat. He's not a crazy person either. I would not vote for him, I don't think. I think my politics are different than his, right? But he's not like a QAnoner. He's a fairly moderate guy and was pretty popular governor actually in a solidly Democratic state, the state of Maryland. So I think that they're picking a fight with this guy is fucking foolish. It's foolish. They should just be like, we don't agree with him on this issue, but we want to win the Senate. And so we're going to fully support all of our Senate candidates. Up next, this guy from Newsmax, he's like, "Oh, you people in the city are pushing the party that owns 90% of the guns." They're probably the same place where they're like, "Don't go to the city, you're going to get shot." Dumb fucks. Let's see what he has to say.
Where the hell are you guys on this one too, Mike Johnson? Stop everything in Congress. Subpoena everyone. Don't take summer recess. Don't take weekends. Don't even get up to go to the bathroom. Get in there and subpoena everyone.
Piss on the floor.
Judge, his daughter, everyone affiliated with anything ever. I don't care if we stop building bridges and highways and stop funding our government. You fight fire with fire. Otherwise,
you want riots? And you get riots if you start doing this. You get riots. People don't be loving the judge, but you start doing this, you're getting riots.
Marxists are going to keep doing this. And red state AGs, you guys better start hammering these people. You have the opportunity now. They cleared the way. Look, Democrats took what they alleged was a federal misdemeanor from the FEC and made it a state felony 34 times over. There's no rules, apparently. Step up. I'm not just talking. You tyrants are about to awaken a machine you don't want. You are pushing people to the edge. The same party that is offended by the wrong pronouns is pushing the party that owns 90% of the guns, of which the majority defends our nation, who mine our minerals, who build our skyscrapers and drive our trucks. You weak people have no idea. You people in your cities with your white shoe consultants, country clubs, who thought prosecuting Trump was...
To be fair, the country club usually isn't in the city.
It's a good idea. You have never met America.
This is an
You've
incitement to
watched that
violence.
scene, obviously, in Braveheart, where they're all online waiting for the British to charge them, and he's screaming, "Hold." Folks, hold. They want violence so they can cancel this next election.
Wait, what?
They know they're going to lose. Don't fall for it. And the liberal networks, they want it so bad they can taste it.
How worried are you that there could be violence emerging from all of this by Trump supporters?
Oh, not at all. Donald Trump supporters are not violent people.
Now's the time to hold, folks. I do have faith that Republicans will absolutely blow Democrats out of nearly every critical seat in November. And when we do, and when Donald Trump does, when he wins, I want him to do the exact same thing for actual crimes to Democrats. And when he does, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to drink a beer, I'm going to smoke a cigar the size of Cuba and laugh, because they earned this one.
So are the people in their cities violent hellholes, or are the people in cities, are we a bunch of pussies? Like, because like it seems like they sort of switch that back and forth all the time. So first of all, I think like on average, I think maybe Republicans are more likely to own firearms, and they may be more likely to own more firearms, but more people live in cities. And first of all, this thing he's talking about is a fucking fantasy. They're not going to like invade Los Angeles or something. They're not going to invade DC or New York. You know something about New Yorkers, by the way, is if you ask them where they're from, they're never going to tell you America. They're going to tell you New York. Those people have like civic pride. Those people fucking love New York. You're not invading New York. Shut the fuck up. I don't want you to try. And it would not go well. It wouldn't go well. You think if you start talking that talk, a bunch of those fucking rich people that you're talking about ain't gonna fucking pony up and fucking arm themselves? You stupid motherfuckers. And that guy, by the way, I think I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm not a legal expert, but if he didn't cross the line to like calling for violence, he walked right up to it. And I think that's fucking way scarier than any story anybody has about anything that happened to them in fucking San Francisco when they had to look at a homeless person or something. Like, that guy's fucking scary, and you better bet that motherfucker lives in like New York or Chicago or LA or somewhere, right? That dude ain't fucking, that ain't no fucking country pumpkin. Like, get the fuck out of here. So here's Trump's attorney. I got two hits of Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche. This one's from CNN.
When he was leaving, one thing he brought up were the witnesses who were not called. And he was saying that there could have been witnesses that would have helped make the case. We never saw Keith Schiller, Alan Weisselberg, some key figures here who got brought up a lot. Why didn't the defense call any of these witnesses?
Well, because we happen to live in America and we don't have the burden of proof. And so there's not.
I think it's because we happen to live in America. It's just funny. You could cut that right there and be like, oh, would his witnesses be from Russia? And then Maddow would show up and go, Russia, Russia, Russia.
That's not the point. That's a question that is a loaded question that should not be asked of a defense attorney or a defendant. The question that we asked the jury, and they ultimately obviously got passed, is why the prosecution didn't call those witnesses, right? You, as a defense,
because they didn't need to, sir. They didn't need to call the witnesses. So sometimes the best defense is to shut the fuck up, and sometimes if you're a prosecutor, the best thing to do is not draw it out. You're like, I think we got what we wanted here. I think we've made our points, and I think if we continue to draw this out, we're just going to alienate the jury. So they're like, we rest.
A case saying, I'm going to fill the holes of the prosecution, right? And Keith Schiller and some of the other witnesses that were not ultimately called, in our view, should have been called by the prosecution, and we asked.
But they decided not to. You seem like a dumb lawyer. You seem like you don't know how this works. This guy needs to watch a fucking few seasons of Boston Legal or something. My God.
To take a hard look at that, I don't know whether they did or not, but they convicted.
Todd Blanche.
He's like, well, the prosecution didn't call the witnesses that I wanted to cross-examine. Okay. And there are circumstances under which you could call a witness as a hostile witness, and you could engage in things like leading. That's up to the judge's discretion, but I don't know. Why wouldn't the judge let you do that? Especially if especially if you've done such a terrible job all the way through this anyway. Up next, here's the former guy's attorney on Fox.
And we knew going in that we were going to have a really tough road, and we did have a really tough road. And the person that comes up out on top, though, in my mind, without a doubt, is President Trump. And you saw that last night. You saw that today in his press conference, where he told the American people exactly what he thought happened and exactly what he was going to do today and tomorrow. And we're going to fight. Look, this case is ripe for appeal. I did not want to have to appeal this case. I wanted to win it at trial, and we didn't. But this case, we're going to appeal it, and I fully expect that we'll be fully exonerated on appeal.
So another thing, and I've been taking a little bit of a look. This isn't my usual fare. Like, people who are here the rest of the week for the other shows know that we don't really talk about this stuff. But I looked in this. Like, appeals courts are actually pretty hesitant to overturn jury verdicts unless there's like some kind of smoking gun of like prosecutorial misconduct. And what usually happens is they'll declare a mistrial, and then they could retry the thing, or they could retry the defendant. So that guy's wrong. If you could imagine that, he's wrong. But he's not like up there like trying to give people good information, right, about this. He's trying to install hopium and copium in the Trump supporters, because he doesn't want those people being like, well, this guy's cooked. I guess we're going to jump ship, because that's what they're worried about. They're not worried about like the diehards either. They're worried about the people, some of the people that I know who I think might be Trump voters here in California. It doesn't matter, but that might be Trump voters who might just say fuck it and stay home, because they're like, I don't like this one old guy, and this other guy got convicted of a bunch of shit. I don't want to deal with this. That's what they're worried about. That I think they're worried about apathy among like people who are like, they lean right, and they would be leaning toward Trump. They're not worried about the fucking people in the hats, or fucking the people who buy the overpriced merch at the Trump rally. Those a high number of those people are going to vote anyway. I think they're pretty worried about people who might just be like fuck it and stay home in places like Arizona, Georgia, even Florida, possibly Texas. Here's this guy from Fox News. He's always kind of great. Oh, my downloader here is, oh, there we go. I like this guy because he's like the only like reporter at Fox News who seems to be like always like fully attached to reality at all times.
Hey, Eric, before you go, I think it was on Truth Social in the last 24 hours, the former president seems upset that his lawyer, when it comes to closing arguments, his lawyer has to go first and then the prosecution goes second. Doesn't the state always go last? That's what he's upset about.
Yeah, that's New York law. Different states are different. He gave that posting, and that's not the case. Under the law, the defense goes first, then the prosecution goes. He's also claiming that the election expert Brad Smith was not allowed to testify. That is not true. Smith's testimony was restricted by the judge, but it was Trump's defense attorneys. Trump's own side decided not to call Smith, the president claiming something that is, again, false.
Thank you.
Thanks. Fuck yeah, that guy. I don't even, his name is Todd, I guess. Fuck yeah, Todd. Or Eric. Fuck yeah, Eric. Every time I see that guy, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this guy's going to go on there and tell them some shit that they do not want to hear. Up next, we got Waters. First, we got Waters just reacting to the verdict because of course we have to run this. This guy's dumb. He's the top rated show on Fox right now, but I think it's simply because of the time slot. I'm not sure it's necessarily because the people really like him so much.
And these nitwits, consumed with hatred, are trying to destroy a man because he threatens their power. These are wicked people obsessed with a person, and we will seek justice. We guarantee that. This man's life is a Greek tragedy. From billionaire, bankruptcy, TV star, Hollywood Walk of Fame, divorces, marriages, children. And that was even before he enters politics. And then you have investigations and hoaxes and a pandemic. And now they're trying to incarcerate this person. And the only way this act ends if he is reelected.
He's like fucking, Trump is like fucking Joan of Arc. He's a fucking martyr. Divorces, all this stuff just happened to him. He played no active role in it, but you're also supposed to believe that he's going to go in there and fucking fix everything because he's the most effective person in the world. Well, which is it? Is he like a perpetual victim of circumstance, or is he a guy that goes in there and takes charge and gets shit done? Because it seems like that's always like a moving proposition, right? It's pretty odd. Up next, here's from the 5. I guess Jesse talked to his mom about this.
My mom is celebrating. She texted me that she was dancing after the verdict, dancing. And then she kept all day sending me 34. Felony counts, Harold. You know exactly what I'm talking about. She's a grandmother. She's a grandmother. Get it together, Mom. Oh, my.
You should have her on again. Remember when she went on and she told him, she's like, well, you should take a little bit closer look at where you get your facts from when you do your broadcast and maybe not say things that aren't true and just try to have a little more integrity or whatever. She was fantastic. She was like dead the fuck on too. Here's up next is Michael Cohen, and he's saying something that nobody else is saying. There are these fucking legal dumbasses for CNN and MSNBC who keep getting everything wrong about all this. Just every time they get it wrong. And they keep getting brought on to give their analysis. Nothing bad ever happens to them. If they're bad at their job, they don't get fired. They don't get used less. It's like if I was an even worse streamer than I am, and there were always 1,000 or 2,000 people or 10,000 people watching my channel. Just no consequences for just doing, like, just not ever being right and not ever having good, interesting analysis. So here goes Michael Cohen after these fuckers.
I would be remiss, Cohen, if I didn't ask you about this moment in the 21 hours of testimony where Todd Blanche yelled at you and he was like, you lie. And there was a phone call in October that could have been about multiple topics. And then the media ran with that and was like, oh my God, there was a Perry Mason moment. Meanwhile, there was an objection. The objection was sustained. And everybody who I knew in the courtroom was saying that that was not a significant moment, like at all. It didn't even make like a dent. But when you turned on CNN or MSNBC, whether it was Ellie Honig or Ari Melber on they were pushing this narrative.
Let me just jump to those idiots for a quick second before you finish your question. There's something very wrong with Ellie Honig, to be honest with you. There's something really fundamentally fucked up with this guy. I used to actually say, oh yeah, he's a friend of mine, to the extent that, we would speak to each other. He's on my podcast like 7-8 times. He's trying to be just like Ari Melber. They're trying to be contrarians. They're trying to show, we don't really sort of play this one side. Well, there's only one side to truth. There's only one side to being right. All right. It's not like Donald when he said, when he was talking about the Nazis in Charlottesville marching, well, there's good people on both sides. No, there's not. All right. It's the same thing. Melber's an idiot. So is Ellie Honig. By the way, how do you know that Ellie Honig is an idiot? How do you know that he's wrong? Because Donald Trump was held accountable and guilty on 34 counts, despite all of Honig's. I wouldn't be shocked if it's an acquittal. He goes, I never liked this case at all. They never should have brought it. It's a weak case. You really aren't going to be able to put the misdemeanor into the federal crime. I've never heard of anything like that. That's because he was a shit lawyer all along. All right.
So the problem isn't so much that these people are wrong. It's that they were wrong. It's that they're wrong all the time, right? It's like, whatever, you're going to get it wrong. Like I was talking to the media wench before. I was like, this is going to be a hung jury. It's going to be like, my guess was 9-3 for the conviction was going to be what the jury was going to be. And I was wrong, but I also didn't come on the channel and say that. Or maybe I did. I don't remember, but I am not a legal analyst or whatever. And so if I came on here and got it wrong, well, that's fine, whatever. And my predictions are usually pretty spot on because I'm pretty loath to make strong statements about what I think is going to happen unless I have a pretty good idea, unless I have a pretty good notion that I'm correct. Like I could have probably predicted that my lights would be on the fritz tonight because they've been on the fritz a lot lately. Up next, Alan Dershowitz couldn't possibly comment on this without making it about himself.
Will the appellate division of New York, which is elected judges who live in Manhattan, have the courage to stand up to their friends? Or will they not want to be Dershowitz? People know widely what happened to me. Right. I was very popular in Martha's Vineyard, Harvard Law School. And as soon as I defended Trump on the floor of the Senate, nobody in the Vineyard would talk to me. Harvard Law School has canceled and isolated me. And I don't think judges want to walk around the city of New York and have people point the finger at them and say, that's the judge that made Trump president.
So there's a very different thing with attorneys, judges, etc. He said that he defended Trump on the Senate floor. Well, that's a choice that you've made, right? If you're his attorney, I've never, ever said that, if you represent a bad person as an attorney, that you're a bad person or that you're unethical. No matter who it is, everybody is entitled to a defense, because if you're ever accused of a crime, whether you committed it or not, you'd be glad as fuck that was the case, that was the law. So no problem there. He chose to throw in with the guy on a personal level. And that's why people at Martha's Vineyard, also not a courtroom, just didn't like him. It had nothing. It was not the beef was personal. And yeah, those people have every right to not like Alan Dershowitz. Nobody went after him for being Epstein's lawyer. Up next, we got we just got various people being angry now. Up next, we got John Voight. Here's John Voight being angry in front of an American flag.
Fear all around. Everybody's angry. What's going on with this planet? We're allowing this sick president, Biden, to give permission for all to steal, cheat, lie, kill, and no one is paying the ultimate price for this. We must stop these animals. We must stand up now and make a choice for righteousness, because this is a critical time. So this is what we must all do. We must vote for truths, trust, honor, safety, love, respect, and we must destroy these animals.
Animals? That kind of language, I don't like that kind of language.
I witnessed these crimes on social media.
I'll say all kind of shit about people, but I do not like use dehumanizing language about people.
I'm here to testify for truths and for honor. The man who has this country's best interest, Donald J. Trump, he's the only one who can save our country from destruction. We're losing loved ones every day from the criminals walking our streets. We must wake up and stop this crime. These false accusations that have been put upon Trump's life to try to destroy his chances of getting elected, these judges, they are the corruption of this society's morals. They are taking down our safety, allowing our streets to be full of horror, and they are consumed with deceit. My words are for all to hear, that the power of what once ruled the land of the free, the forefathers that fought with blood, sweat, and tears for the people, for their freedom, for the safety of their loved ones, is now destroyed by the left's greed, deception, power, and darkness. But now, with the power of God and all of us, let us bring back the glory of the People's Declaration. For that, my friends, is the greatest testimony of all, and it shall be again. And the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, will make America safe again.
So all these people, this guy's included, what's the other guy's name? The guy that played Thor or some shit. They all claim that they've been canceled by Hollywood for being conservative. But then, like, you see other conservatives who are in Hollywood. The first one that comes to mind is Kelsey Grammer. Ain't nobody fucking canceled him. They did a reboot of Frasier. You know why? Because he mostly shuts the fuck up. He hasn't fucking pissed people off. He like understands that he has to get along with people to for his profession. And he's an actor, and I think he's a pretty good actor. Not my kind of shows and shit, but I think he's a pretty good actor. But you know what he does? He goes about the business of shutting the fuck up. Tim Allen mostly goes about the business of shutting the fuck up. He tries to do like conservative comedy. It doesn't work, but he's not out there doing what like Voight and, now I'm forgetting the Hercules guy's name. He's not out there wilding out like this, and people generally like him. Chris Pratt isn't out there wilding out. He's a conservative, and people generally like him. The name I was looking for is Kevin Sorbo. Like you can exist in that industry as a conservative. You just don't be a crazy person. Up next, you knew it was coming. Cocaine Don Jr.
Obviously, just a sad day for America. Crazy what's going on in this country. Obviously, probably wasn't expecting anything different out of this jury with this biased judge whose daughter's profiteering from this stuff. My father's not allowed to talk about the people. Michael Cohen, who's lied to every congressional body, every banker, every press, his own wife, went to jail for lying, is a upstanding citizen who probably told the truth on this day. Well, the one time he told the truth, folks, it was this time. Absolute.
Well, no. If they're talking about Cohen, the thing is that what Cohen was saying was corroborated by other evidence.
But I'll say this. The Democrats have succeeded in their years-long quest to turn our country into an absolute crap hole. They've done that. They've been trying for a long time.
Good, get out.
There's literally no other way about it at this point. They've tried for a long time, and they're getting it. We are getting exactly what these people have voted for, and it's not going to work out well. If you think they can do it to Trump, they can do it to anyone, okay? I'm going to be going, I'm going to go up now to my studio. I'm going to get on Rumble for my podcast.
I'm going to go to my studio. I bet his lights work. but the guy's got working lights. This guy's stupid. Like this didn't hinge on Cohen. They wouldn't have gone after him if it was going to hinge on just Cohen, because he has a history of confabulation and deception. So that would be a bad strategy. Cohen was there to say, yes, actually. Essentially, that was what his job was. There was other reasons to believe that the things were true, and Cohen was just there. Yes, actually. And to be fair, Cohen broke the law, took his, now takes responsibility for what he's done. He will not tell you that he was the target of a witch hunt or anything like that. I don't like Michael Cohen. I don't trust that motherfucker. I don't want to be friends with him. I wouldn't do a business deal with him. I'd feel ethical quandaries even if he just came here and just dropped a bunch of bits in my Twitch channel. I'd be like, those are fucking Michael Cohen bits. I don't know if I want to spend that money. Up next, just some lady from TikTok.
All right, so I'm not taking this conviction very well, as you could tell. He got convicted on all charges, and at this point, we're going to give it to God. God is in control, and he's going to appeal the decision. It's probably going to go up to the Supreme Court. I feel like there's some things that the judge was not fair on, and I think that that's going to be considered in the appeal. But right now, we just need to give it to God and pray on it. Thanks, y'all.
Criminal trials in New York are historically very fair to the defendant. It's sometimes things aren't fair. Sometimes it's almost like a done deal and you should plead out. Sometimes you should plead out. If you would have pled out, they would have, it wouldn't be like this. It would be very different. Up next, we got some guy named Joey Manario, and he seems angry. He seems quite angry.
You worthless liberal fucks who are just mad that your entire life is based on a lie and based on failure. You liberals have never achieved shit in your fucking life. Judge Barchan is a piece of shit who should never have overseen anything. He's a worthless motherfucker. He's a communist hack. He's nothing more than a Joseph Stalin Soviet-style piece of shit. Stormy Daniels is a literal porn star, a woman.
Fuck yeah, Stormy.
Whose only claim to fame is taking fucking cock in her ass and her fucking disgusting rancid pussy. That is the woman that this whole trial is based around. A porn star. America as you know it is dead. America as you know it no longer exists. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of that, gone. Stolen by Joe Biden and Kamala Cumrag Swallow It Up Harris.
Whoa, dude.
Worthless.
I don't like no Kamala Harris, but she's a black woman. And she came up through politics, during a time when not a lot of black women did. She's a competent person. Also cop, not a big fan of that, and was very aggressive as a prosecutor. But get out of here.
Communist hacks. Don't even think about ever changing your vote for Donald Trump because some fake kangaroo scam court indicted him on some fake kangaroo scam trials. This is the day America, the United States of America, whatever the fuck you want to call it, has died forever. And what will rise above, what will come back is Donald Trump. And God, is he going to come with a vengeance now. All of you liberal motherfuckers better pack up, go to Canada, go somewhere, because it is not going to be pretty when Trump retakes the White House and ends forever everything that you hold near and dear to your heart. The liberal agenda will be dead. There will be no more of this compromise. There will be no more of let's come together and really, really, really try to make everything okay. No. Fuck you. After what you've done to Donald Trump, fuck you. This is our country now, not yours. Pack it up, bitches.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm not afraid of that guy. I'm not a tough guy, but I'm not afraid of that guy. Get the fuck out of here, dude. And of course we had to have one of these, right? The outside of the courthouse, people just fucking freaking out when they found out about the decision. Just did one there where I could have run 3 hours of this, but we're just going to do 1 30-second clip of it.
Motherfuckers! These are all piece of shit! The judge is a piece of shit! The Jesus James is a piece of shit! They just killed our country. You just fucking let them. Bragg is a piece of shit! Motherfucker. You're all owned by China! Welcome to your China owns You're Alvin Bragg. You're Alvin Bragg. Mr. Rodriguez. Officer Dillon is rolling in his fucking grave. Rolling in his grave. Officer Dillon is rolling in.
Everybody laughing at them.
Wait until we start spitting on you like Columbia University. You just fucking wait.
What the fuck? Dude. Yo, man, sometimes you gotta just be able to take the L. I don't know what, like, just take the L. Like, it's so much better to just take the L and just move on, man. It's so crazy. Up next, we got another clip from Midas Touch. My chat is very split on Midas Touch. I was joking. I made a joke in chat that they're about to hire me. They're not about to hire me, but here's a guy from Midas Touch, I guess, who thinks he's funny.
Ben, I'm a glass half full guy. And so I guess if there's one silver lining for the former president is he no longer has to deal with the trauma of that courtroom of it being too cold for him. He doesn't have to be there anymore. So he doesn't have to deal with that. He doesn't have to wear his sweater anymore. So he'd been complaining it was chilly. And now the trauma of that is over for the former president.
All right, you're a hack. That guy's a hack. They should replace that guy with me. I'd have way spicier and more fun takes about all this than that guy. That guy's a hack. You're like, the courtroom's cold. Trump won't have to be in the cold courtroom anymore. You can shut the fuck up, fucking weirdo. Up next, we got usually when we talk about a grandma, we talk about a mean ma, and we say that that's bad. But actually, this mean ma, I like this mean ma. There's a lady from Great Britain, apparently, who was just New York on vacation when all this happened. Check her out.
Disgusting, aren't they? What disgusting people.
What do you think about the response that happened? You were having a conversation with them.
Well, we were actually here purely for entertainment value. We're from England.
Keep going, Joe.
Oh, God.
Take your own chair. Get the fuck out of my car. We got it. Fuck the queen. Fuck the king.
That old lady probably don't like the queen. The queen's dead.
Fucking cunt.
She's leaving. Just stop.
Fuck out of here. Burn in hell, you liberal fuck.
And we enjoy watching Trump on the TV, and we cannot. John!
Oh, let her cook. Let her cook. Universal health care. All right, so that's all the Trump news. That's all the Trump news. We could have done more, but I was like, I'm just going to let other streamers do that. There's a lot of channels that are essentially just anti-Trump channels, but we had to address it. Up next, this is from Newsmax, and won't someone think about the popularity of chocolate chip ice cream?
Joseph Robinette Biden, much like his favorite flavor of ice cream, is very much in decline in every imaginable way. In a new survey by the International Dairy Foods Association, we have one of those, they found that Joe Biden's beloved chocolate chip ice cream didn't even crack America's top 5 favorite ice creams.
Well, that's because it's mid, but it's okay if he likes it.
That's kind of sad, isn't it? Ice cream producers, they even scooped so low as to call it a seasonal ice cream. It's not even an all-year ice cream anymore. The flavor now sits in 8th place.
That's pretty good. You consider all the fucking flavors of ice cream, actually.
After being ranked at 5th place just 2 years ago, I think.
I mean, this is right. You cannot fuck with a really good vanilla ice cream. It's beautiful. Chocolate, I could take or leave, but again, there's some good ass chocolate ice cream out there. The only one the cookie dough ice cream is fucking gross.
Joe Biden is probably guilty of the decline in chocolate chip ice cream popularity.
That lady was about to throw shade at butter pecan. I'm not a big fan of butter pecan ice cream. Ice cream itself is good. I just don't like pecans. They should have let her throw the shade at the butter pecan ice cream. And in case the news cycle made it so that nobody heard about this one, The feud between former Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz seems to not be going away. I mean, you love to see it. You absolutely fucking love to see it.
But you want Gaetz to lose. Clearly, you're supporting his primary opponent. Why do you want him out? Just because, is it simply because he led the charge to push you out?
No, I just don't think Gaetz is a conservative. I mean, and if you think about it, if there's anybody who should go to trial, I mean, Gaetz is one who should be convicted in a trial.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, we all know the challenge here. You can't sleep with underage women and think you can get away with it. I mean,
he denies that.
Well, the women don't, and so there's people in jail because of it, and I think that's a place where people should have a court. I just don't think that as an individual should be represented in Congress. I don't think the constituents would want that either.
Oh, shit. Oh, but that guy's a piece of shit, too. Like, I bet that guy's got some fucking skeletons, but I'm here for it. The thing is, I don't think Kevin McCarthy can take Matt Gaetz down. And I think, in fact, Matt Gaetz is probably fundraising off of the fact that McCarthy's talking about him. I think it's good for McCarthy to have Gaetz doing that because, well, I don't know. And what I really want to know is where's Nestor? Nobody even wants to talk about Nestor anymore. That's what's missing in all this. And the people who don't like him are dumb for not hammering him on that shit constantly. Because that's something his constituents might care about. Up next, everybody, Red Dawn 2.0 is coming.
Well, we had Michael Pillsbury on last weekend, and I asked him directly because President Trump had said, he's like, there's a very strong possibility that the Chinese increase, which is about 8,000% increase, military-age men coming over the border. Donald Trump has alluded to perhaps they're, sort of forming cells and like an army inside of our borders. We know that some of the terrorists are probably forming cells, but it's just, military age men Chinese here. And I asked Michael Pillsbury if he thought that was a possibility, and he said yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Military age, though, that would be most men who are coming across, right? Like, that would encompass most men because, like, children aren't maybe going to be able to get all the way from China to here, and then the elderly are probably going to have a bit of a tough time with it too. So it's kind of a dumb thing to talk about. Again, because that's who can make it. The term military age is stupid. It kind of doesn't really mean anything. Up next, apparently there was a debate in Colorado that Lauren Boebert was part of, and this debate moderator actually kind of rules.
That was about the softest reference that he could have made, but do you want to talk about the theater thing?
Sure. So, Kyle, I certainly have owned up to my night out in Denver. And, I've gone on that public apology tour, and I'm grateful for the mercy and grace that has been shown. But I'm not going to continue to live life in shame and be beat up by this. And, I would like to go back to my legislative record for just a second.
We're not going to do that. You had plenty of time to answer the question. You chose not to. That's fine. I just want to make sure.
I'll have more time.
And you have apologized for the theater incident.
I certainly have.
And I just want to make sure. Did you apologize for the behavior that went on with you and your date or the vaping?
Kyle,
or did you apologize, or did you apologize for lying to voters about what you did that night and the disrespect that you showed to service workers that night? What specifically were you apologizing for?
I don't believe there was disrespect. There were things that were absolutely taken out of context.
There's video of your interactions with service workers. I'm asking,
right,
are you apologizing for the lying to voters
that I
or
flipped someone off, and I did not. So, I mean, I think it's been very mischaracterized. I'm apologizing for you, Kyle Clark, getting footage and releasing that, and people seeing this in a very private moment.
Certainly, it was very important to figure out whether you were telling the truth
you just had
or
an
whether a
interview
public
recently with
agency.
Wait, no, he didn't get the footage. Like she's talking about, like how maybe the news network that he was with published it, but it was already on Twitter.
Lying about your conduct.
You
Either
just had
way was
an
very
interview with
important
CityCast Denver, and you were saying how disgusting it is to record someone without their knowledge.
Let's talk about the use of earmarks in Congress.
You did that very same thing and released
Members.
Yo, this is it. I don't think they broke it. I think they may have been the first like news outlet or whatever to put it out there, but that shit was all over. That shit was out there. That shit was out there for people to see before this guy's like legacy news outlet published it. I couldn't imagine it not being out there. So up next, we got a bit of a palate cleanser. This is, as you know, this is the second day of Pride Month. So we're going to enter into a bizarro world where a bunch of unremarkable straight people complain about shit. And here's a video, well, obviously making fun of that. That's great. The poor lady, she's terrified. I like how they showed like the Lebanese, and she was like, "Oh no, the Lebanese." She thinks it was lesbian. Anyway, up next we got a kind of a palate cleanser, but this is a bad story. The way this guy's talking about it is somewhat comical, but this is a pretty bad story. But anyway, there was a teacher that was actually filming adult material at the school. Now, let's be clear, they weren't including the kids or anything, but you still shouldn't be doing that at school. You shouldn't be doing that at work unless your job is a studio of some sort that creates adult entertainment. But this is very funny. Very, very funny.
Hours stripping down butt naked, bending over and showing everything on the video, and all you could see was cellulite hanging in pubic hair. This is a disgrace and a shame that this is the type of educator and teacher that is in the classroom. And she made multiple videos. Yes, the district was unaware until we brought this to their attention. But what we're asking you to do now is to go even further. Nullifying her contract is not enough. This woman obviously had lost her damn mind. She needs psychotropic medication. She pulls out her breasts and she's juggling them. Look like she's about to fall over. Then she bends over and pulls down her panties. Spreads her cheeks. I'm not lying. I'm telling you what's on the video. Spreads her cheeks. This is madness. This woman should classroom.
Obviously, there's fat shaming in there, which is no good. But just the way the guy who's talking about juggling her breasts and stuff, that was very funny. Don't do that at work. There's just no upside for it. If you're trying to do the sexy teacher routine, set up like a mock classroom, and then maybe don't work as a teacher. Up next, we got Wisconsin State Representative Chuck Wichgers speaking against access to contraception.
Some of the religious leaders said that historically, back when the pill was being developed, that there were comments of predictions of social behaviors that might exist, and they learned that from other societies in real time when they made these comments, and they said that it opens up the door to marital infidelity.
I'm getting word from chat that this is from last year, but we'll still run the rest of it.
And it did. And you can laugh and mock, but you're laughing and mocking not me, but the people.
All comments will be to the speaker.
The government might force contraceptives upon married couples. That's happened in other countries. And so the government gets to have a role. They get to play supreme ruler. It increases a loss of respect for women, that men get to do whatever they want, and then women have to be able to control the natural reproductive course of the body. Nature has an intention, and when you have that act, a pregnancy naturally occurs.
Now he's winging it.
Doing what nature does. And then the woman has to counter nature by taking something that is highly systemic and highly invasive, according to the documents in the books that people that are pro the pill.
That's everybody.
That's a science. We would begin to see ourselves as the ultimate masters of nature. So when nature does something it's supposed to do, and then we say, let's not do that. And we're talking not about...
Sir, you're wearing glasses.
Getting a pimple if you eat Doritos and drink chocolate or eat chocolate. That would be contrary to a health movement or nature, that doesn't improve your health. It makes you less healthy, and there's side effects. In real time, our nation is having some of the same things with a proliferation of STDs as a result of going into I don't have to worry about pregnancy, so, men don't have to worry, women don't have to worry about pregnancy, so.
What the fuck? That was from a year ago, but that was like all over the place. It's like he didn't think about what he was going to say. He's like, oh, I don't have to worry about pregnancy. Oh, I'm like, well, fucking, I don't know. Maybe you're single too, and maybe there's a reason for that. That guy's a dick. Fuck that guy. But at least the other people in the hall or whatever were laughing at him. Up next, we got there's dumb, and then there's this. Actually, this is. I thought for a minute this was satire when I first saw it, but this has probably been making the rounds on other people's Twitch channels. But you should definitely take a look at this fucking next level dumb fuck.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Tate for Mr. Harris, who should be present via Zoom.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
Great. You stationary?
I'm pulling in right now at this second. Yes, I am.
All right. What are we doing?
Your Honor, we are respectfully requesting an adjournment in this matter, up possibly 2 to 4 weeks if the court would allow.
So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving, and he didn't have a license.
That's the fucking loudest silence. You check this out. This is the loudest silence.
And he didn't have a license.
Is with the charges, Your Honor, yes.
No, I'm looking at his
Yes.
record. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
I don't even know why he would do that. So defendant's bond is revoked in this matter. Defendant is turn himself into the Washington County Jail by 6 p.m. today. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond.
You absolute dumb fuck. It's possible that the court might have even been inclined to like do what the defense attorney isn't gonna like ask for the charges to be dismissed unless they think there's some chance of it happening. And then that guy was like, oh, actually, let's just demonstrate to the court why my charges should not be dismissed. Up next, it's not often that you see RFK Jr. talking to anybody who asks him tough questions. I think the last time we saw that actually was Howie Mandel's producer, who also happens to be his daughter, was asking him some pretty tough questions. But he went on Brian Tyler Cohen's show. There's some chance that we may run the whole interview during Red Light tonight. There's some chance, but I want to show you just a minute of it, just so you can kind of get the lay of the land here with what happened.
When you say that there are a huge amount of abortions that would necessitate some federal intervention, where is the proof of that?
Well, I would have to look at the data again, and which I'm happy to do. But the data that we were shown was that there were a large number of abortions that were elective in the end, at the end of pregnancy. So if there are any abortions at that point, it's wrong. It's a viable child at 9 months, and let's say 9 months in 1 day. Should you be able to abort? I mean, do you think you should be able to abort a perfectly healthy child at 9 months?
But there's no evidence that women are doing that. That's the whole basis for what I'm asking. When you impose federal interventions against women who the data show are dealing with fetal anomalies, health risks to the mother, then I shouldn't be litigating that. No government bureaucrat should be litigating that. That's a decision between a woman and her doctor, because these issues are highly personal.
I bet that's a good interview. Haven't watched a lot of this Brian fellow's content, but every time we get something from him, he seems okay. Seems okay. And somebody in chat also pointed out that he look all right. He look all right. A sharp dressed man, looking pretty sharp. So here's RFK Jr.'s vice presidential pick. This ought to be good.
My involvement in this over the years went from looking at it as let's fill in the science, to realizing, oh my God, there's something going on. There's something really serious going on.
As in the food or the pollution?
Oh, it's the Dilbert guy.
Is impacting.
That's what I think too.
It's all of it.
Yeah.
So all of these environmental factors, and I'm glad we're talking about this. It wasn't on my agenda to talk about, but
and the testosterone drop as well. That can't be unrelated to all of this.
It's 100% related. Yeah. I mean, sperm rates are just, plummeting, and it's happening very fast. So I just keep hearing.
So this is stupid, because the actual, the total amount, unless you have very little, the differences in the amount of sperm one person versus the other tends to have little to no effect on fertility.
The case of these young men.
I think it's food.
Well, we are finding it's the food. We're finding it's the water.
The water, yeah.
We're finding it's lifestyle.
But I'll bet you if you ranked them,
yeah,
it would be food, and then a little lifestyle.
Depending on which scientist you're talking to.
Oh, okay.
No. We don't do things just based on, this scientist says. No, that's why there's peer review and consensus on things. And the scientific community will generally say when their findings are low quality and not to be acted on. What do you mean? Which scientist you talk to? Now we got dueling scientists.
Scientists that believe it's, and the WHO has even agreed to do research on this, but we're like an electrochemical species. So the people who study bioenergetics and cellular
bioenergetics, that sounds like some shit you'd hear from a YouTube podcast, bro. Bioenergetics
is exposed electromagnetic pollution. So
now it's funny you should say that, because I'm recently fascinated by grounding. Do you know what that is?
I love grounding.
Oh no, that just means walking barefoot. It's like a version of touch grass. He's fascinated by basically a version of touch grass. Up next, we got two clips of everybody's favorite dumb fuck, Dave Rubin and Peter Boghossian. In this first one, they're going to be talking about Hungary and the fact that Dave is married to a man and has adopted kids with that man is going to come up in this.
The best place to live beside the United States is? The best place to live besides the United States? Well, removing places like, let's say, Bora Bora, or truly remote islands in the middle of nowhere where you're completely out of society. Although Bora Bora is pretty sweet, but I don't think that was the answer you were going for. Although I do highly recommend it for a vacation. Yeah. In terms of places that are, let's say, more industrialized and whatever, I would say right now, I mean, Hungary is and you were one of the first guys in my world really saying, Dave, go visit Hungary and see what that model is like, and see how, ironically, the conservatives are defending liberalism better than the liberals will defend it themselves. So I had a wonderful time there, and I spent some time with Viktor Orban, who is thought of as this, the media tells you he's this fascist right-wing lunatic. I spent about half hour with him at the prime minister's palace. And all he talked about was, hey, I just love my country. We just want to maintain our culture. We want to respect minorities, blah, blah, blah. Did you feel any anti-gay stuff over there? No one said a word to me. I gave a speech at the Danube Institute and talked about same-sex marriage, and I didn't get it. I can't tell you that they're head over heels for gays, but I don't see them rounding up gays. And by the way, minorities, one of the things we've done wrong in America and that the left has done so dangerously throughout the West is pushing the idea of the minority on top of the majority all the time. We should have equal rights.
But you vote Republican. The Republican is a minority rule party, sir.
For everybody, we should have ideals and then have places where we can look on the margins to make people feel that they're integrated into those societies, whether they're religious minorities or, let's say in this case, gays or something. But you don't have to cater an entire society to a minority. So unless there's something going on in Hungary that I don't know about, I did not see that specifically.
Okay.
So rich guy with a big platform from the West shows up, and you don't call him and Dave's like, they don't love us, but they didn't kill me. I'm here to talk about it. Well, good for you, Dave. Good for you. You and your husband, Dave. My working hypothesis is that he married another dude named Dave because he didn't want to have to remember his husband's name.
Some people are more bottom than others.
Here's another clip of Dave and Peter Bogo talking. This might be something we end up watching on Wednesday night in its entirety, and I pre-apologize for that.
And this has, I think, been an unfortunate problem with atheism as a movement and as a cultural force, which it isn't anymore the way it was, say, 5 or 7 years ago. The atheist movement ignores the fact that humans, this is a very Jordan Peterson idea, humans are wired to believe. You end up believing something one way or another. As Jordan Peterson said to Sam Harris when they had their series of debates on belief, Sam, you believe in something whether you believe it or not. What does Bill Maher, who's like our most famous atheist in America, always say? I believe in liberalism. He says it all the time. Well, congratulations, you chose to believe in a set of ideas. There's no empirical evidence, I would say, certainly at this point, that liberalism actually works. We're in many ways, where we're at right now in society is the end of liberalism. So you end up believing one way or another. So the idea of could we reset everybody to have no ancient beliefs and sort of Steven Pinker blank slate everybody, the hatreds are going to...
Steven Pinker doesn't believe in a blank slate.
One way or another.
So Steven Pinker is a race and IQ guy. That's the opposite of a blank slate. Dave Rubin read the fucking title of a book. He's like, oh, this is what this guy believes. Look at the title of the book. That's all he did. But I'm proud of him. That's probably the most of a book he's read in quite some time, actually. He saw it at the airport. Fucking airport book ass fucking Steven Pinker. So, up next, this is a very short clip, and I updated the soundboard today, partially because this ended up on our soundboard. Check this out.
Not only can you take a load, you can take the ultimate load, and even better than that you find your true calling and destiny in your willingness to take the ultimate load.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. Podcast over. I'll see everybody on Red Light. This is Boomers by Periscope.